My name is Sloane, and this is the story of the night my family finally made it clear. I didn't belong. I showed up to my sister's wedding expecting to celebrate, to smile for the cameras, to do what I always did, play the role of the good daughter. But from the moment I stepped inside, something felt off. And then I saw it, my seat. Not at the family table, not even in the main hall, but shoved outside, near the coat racks. At first, I thought it was a mistake, but it wasn't. It was a message that said, "You don't matter." But here's the thing about pushing someone aside for too long. Eventually, they stopped trying to fit in. So I made a choice that night. And what happened after? Well, let's just say, it shocked everyone. I pulled into the parking lot of the venue, my fingers gripping the steering wheel a little too tightly. A 5-star ballroom in the heart of Chicago, decked out with twinkling chandeliers, marble floors, and floral arrangements worth more than my rent. Everything about this wedding screamed luxury, everything except for my presence. With a deep breath, I stepped out of my car, smoothing down my navy blue dress. I wasn't here to cause a scene. I wasn't here to make this about me. It was Odessa's day, and I had accepted a long time ago that I wasn't the favorite sibling. I just hadn't expected them to remind me of it in such a public, humiliating way. Inside, a wedding planner with an overly bright smile greeted me at the check-in table. "Name?" she chirped. "Sloane." My voice came out calm, controlled. "Sloane Hathaway." Her smile faltered just a little. My stomach tightened as she flipped through the seating chart. Then, something flashed across her face. Pity. I knew that look. I hated that look. "Oh, right, here you are," she said, handing me a small place card. You're seated over here." She hesitated, then pointed toward a hallway just outside the grand ballroom. I frowned. "Excuse me?" She forced another smile. "Your table is just outside the main reception area." My eyes darted to the massive seating chart displayed on the stand beside her. Vivian and Harold Hathaway, my parents, were seated at the front, next to the bride and groom. Odessa's closest friends, Dominic's distant relatives, even his co-worker's girlfriend, all had seats inside. My name wasn't there. I turned back to the planner. "There must be a mistake." Her smile tightened. "I'm afraid that's your assigned seat." A slow burn started in my chest. Not even at a distant table inside the ballroom. No, they had shoved me into the hallway as if I were an afterthought. Like a guest, they had to accommodate out of obligation, not family. Still, I held on to some ridiculous hope that this was just an oversight. That maybe, just maybe, my own mother hadn't allowed this to happen. I spotted her across the room, standing with Odessa, beaming as she fussed over her dress. My sister looked radiant, perfect, adored, just as she had always been. Odessa caught my gaze, tilted her head, then smirked. That smirk told me everything I needed to know. I forced myself forward. "Mom," I said, keeping my voice light. "Can I talk to you for a second?" Vivian barely spared me a glance. "Oh, darling, now's not the time. Can't you see we're busy?" "It'll only take a second," I said through gritted teeth. She sighed, annoyed but obliging, and stepped aside. Odessa didn't move, of course. She just watched, her smirk growing. "I just checked my seat," I said. "It's in the hallway." Vivian let out a dismissive hum. "Well, we had to prioritize immediate family members at the main tables, Sloane." I blinked. "Immediate family?" "I am immediate family." Vivian let out a forced, airy laugh, as if I'd said something absurd. "Oh, sweetheart, don't be so dramatic." Odessa finally spoke. "Did they mess up your seat?" "Wow, that's unfortunate." Her voice dripped with false sympathy. "You know how chaotic wedding planning can be. So many little details, things get overlooked." Her eyes glowed with amusement. She knew. This wasn't an accident. I turned back to my mother. "Mom, you really think it's okay for me to be seated outside the reception hall, away from everyone?" Vivian sighed again, clearly bored of the conversation. Sloan, don't make a big deal out of this. It's Odessa's special day. Just be grateful you're here. Grateful. The word lodged itself in my throat, bitter and unspoken. Be grateful for being treated like a second-class guest at my own sister's wedding. Be grateful for being discarded, shoved aside, forgotten. I opened my mouth, but Harold, my father, my ever-passive, avoidant father, finally spoke. "It's just seating, sweetheart," he said, not even looking at me. "Let's not ruin the mood." That was it. That was all he had to say. I didn't even bother responding. What was the point? A new voice broke the silence. "That's an interesting arrangement." I turned and found Celeste, Dominic's mother, standing nearby, champagne in hand. Her eyes flickered toward Odessa, then back to me, her expression unreadable. Odessa stiffened slightly. Vivian gave her a rehearsed, gracious smile. "Oh, Celeste, you know how tricky wedding planning can be. We tried our best to accommodate everyone." Celeste hummed, unconvinced. She looked at me just a second too long, as if reading between the lines. I didn't know what that meant yet, but I held her gaze. Odessa looped her arm through my mother's, effortlessly steering the conversation away. "Mom, we should really check on the cake before the reception starts." And just like that, I was dismissed. The ballroom around me was alive with laughter, clinking glasses, and music. A celebration I wasn't truly a part of. I was here, but not welcome. I walked away, my pulse hammering. Not toward my assigned table, not toward the hallway. I reached for the place card in my hand, staring at my own name printed in elegant cursive. I turned it over once, then again, before slowly setting it down on a nearby tray. If they thought I was just going to accept this, they didn't know me at all. I stare at the dimly lit hallway, my back pressed against the cold wall, fingers tightening around the edge of my dress. Laughter, clinking glasses, and distant music spill from the grand ballroom, a world I was never truly a part of. The isolation isn't new. The humiliation, though sharper this time, feels oddly familiar, like an old wound being sliced open again. This wasn't an accident. They wanted me to feel small, insignificant, and damn it, they succeeded. The sting in my chest spreads, not just from this moment, but from years of being the second choice, the afterthought. My mind drifts back, pulling me into the past before I can stop it. 3 years ago, I was back at my parents' house, rummaging through my old bedroom. I hadn't been home in a while, and it showed. Dust gathered in corners, my childhood books untouched, the framed pictures on the wall frozen in time. High school, college, everything before I stopped trying. I wasn't searching for anything in particular, just killing time while my mother finished whatever elaborate dinner she was preparing for Odessa's visit. It was always about Odessa. Then I saw it, a small leather notebook sticking out of my mother's nightstand. I almost didn't open it, but something about the way it was tucked away, as if it were important, as if it mattered, made me reach for it. Inside, pages upon pages of carefully recorded memories, notes, thoughts, about Odessa, her birthdays, her achievements, her struggles, her favorite foods, the names of her childhood friends, even a list of gifts she had loved and ones she had faked liking to be polite. I flipped through more pages, searching for something, anything about me. There was nothing, not a single mention, not a single thought, not a single note about her other daughter. It was like I never existed. I remember standing there, gripping the notebook so tightly my hands ached. A lifetime of doubt suddenly confirmed in ink. When my mother walked in, she barely reacted. "Oh, honey, you've always been independent. I never had to worry about you like I do Odessa." Like that was supposed to be a compliment. Like that was supposed to erase the years of quiet neglect. She had written down everything about Odessa, yet not one single thought about me was worth recording. That was the moment I knew. I had always been alone in this family. The present crashes back around me, the sound of Odessa's laughter slicing through the air like a blade. The weight of that damn notebook presses against my chest, Even now, I glance at my assigned table. The insult of it, the pettiness, the cruelty. If they wanted to remind me of my place, message received. I inhale sharply, pushing myself off the wall. If my family had already decided I didn't belong, maybe it was time to act like it. I step toward the ballroom, my mind racing. But before I even reach the doorway, I catch sight of Dominic. He's standing off to the side, near the bar, a glass of whiskey in his hand, but he isn't drinking it. His eyes aren't scanning the crowd with the ease of a man who just married the love of his life. Instead, they're locked on something, or someone, with unmistakable hesitation. And then, they land on me. He exhales, long and slow, before pushing off the counter and walking toward me. Sloane. His voice is even, but there's something underneath it. I raise an eyebrow. Dominic. For a moment, neither of us speaks. The wedding moves on around us. People drinking, laughing, celebrating. A party moving forward while its foundation slowly rots beneath it. Dominic shifts, rolling the whiskey glass in his palm before glancing over his shoulder, toward the far side of the room where Odessa is holding court, basking in her own reflection. When he looks back at me, his jaw tightens. There it is again. That hesitation. That doubt. Sloane, he starts, voice lower this time. I know we haven't talked much, but can I ask you something? I tilt my head. That depends. Is this a polite wedding conversation, or is this something else? He doesn't smile, doesn't even pretend. Something inside me shifts. Dominic sighs, rubbing his temple like he's already regretting this. Does your sister ever talk about me differently when I'm not around? There it is. That single question. That moment where reality peeks through the cracks of whatever illusion Odessa has been feeding him. For a split second, I consider lying. Maybe out of some misplaced sense of protection. Maybe because exposing the truth in a setting like this is a dangerous thing. But then I remember my seat assignment. I remember Odessa's smirk. I remember my mother's dismissal. And I remember who Odessa really is. I glance at his whiskey glass. You should probably take a sip of that first. Dominic tenses. Then he lifts the glass to his lips and downs the whole thing. Dominic, I say carefully, I don't think you know Odessa as well as you think you do. His jaw tightens. I was afraid of that. Silence stretches between us, thick and suffocating. She's been acting different, he finally says, his voice quieter now, edged with something close to frustration. Controlling. There are things she doesn't want me to see. My stomach twists, because of course there are. Before I can respond, Celeste appears. She's walking toward us, her expression unreadable, but her eyes are sharp, calculating. Odessa's new mother-in-law, the only woman in this room with more power than she has. Celeste stops in front of Dominic, her gaze flicking toward me for just a second before settling on him. Darling, she says smoothly, I believe you should see this. Then she holds out her phone. Dominic takes it hesitantly, scrolling down, his face shifting from confusion to realization to something far, far worse. Odessa's text messages, to her friends, to her stylist, to people who have no business knowing what's in her heart, because what's in her heart is cold and rotten. The messages are brutal, petty, cruel. Odessa trashing Celeste, calling her overbearing, controlling, a rich old woman who just needs to write the checks and stay out of her life. Odessa talking about Dominic, how she's training him to be the husband she needs, how he'll do whatever she wants because he's so desperate to prove he's better than his dad. And then, the worst one, Odessa laughing about how easy this marriage will be. Because Dominic's family has money, and all she has to do is play her part until she doesn't have to anymore. Dominic's hand clenches around the phone. Celeste watches him carefully. Your wife-to-be doesn't just dislike me, Dominic. She pauses, voice calm but sharp as glass. She's been planning to control you since day one. Dominic sways slightly, as if the floor beneath him has just cracked open. I say nothing, because this isn't my moment. This is his. I just watch as his expression shifts from doubt to anger. The wedding may be happening, but the foundation beneath it is already cracking. The wedding may still be in motion, but behind closed doors, the family meeting that follows will change everything. I follow the movement of bodies as we're ushered into a private lounge. The air is heavy, thick with the kind of tension that makes your skin itch. Odessa is in the center of it all, perfectly composed, or at least pretending to be. Celeste stands near the entrance, arms crossed, lips pressed together in an unreadable line. Dominic lingers by the bar, his whiskey untouched, his shoulders rigid. Vivienne, of course, is already speaking, already smoothing, already making excuses. "This is all just a misunderstanding," she says, offering a thin, forced smile. "Emotions are high. It's a wedding after all. Let's not let a little family tension—" Celeste cuts her off. "Family tension?" she echoes, eyes narrowing. "Vivian, this isn't tension. This is a revelation." Odessa lets out a mocking scoff, arms crossing over her designer gown. "You've seriously dragged us in here for this?" She turns toward Dominic, voice dripping in sugar. "Baby, tell me you don't actually believe this nonsense." Dominic doesn't answer. He doesn't even look at her. Vivian reaches for his arm, her voice softer now. "Dominic, sweetheart, you have to understand. Odessa has been under a lot of stress. Planning a wedding is exhausting. People say things they don't mean." Celeste's lips curl. Funny, because she seemed to mean every word when she talked about controlling him. Odessa's jaw tightens, but before she can fire back, Harold speaks, and the entire room stills. "Vivian, stop." The words are quiet, but they land like a gunshot. My mother turns, blinking, as if surprised to be interrupted. My father is not a man who raises his voice, not a man who intervenes. But tonight, something shifts. "You've protected Odessa her entire life," he says, his voice tired, weighted with something I can't place. "And look what it's turned her into." Odessa gasps, genuine shock flashing across her face. "Dad? You're taking her side?" Harold ignores her, turning to me instead. "Sloane has been right all along." The words ring in my ears. My breath catches. My mother physically recoils. For the first time in my life, my father is choosing me. Vivian shakes her head, laughing nervously, as if this is some kind of mistake. "Harold, don't be ridiculous. Odessa is a liar." Dominic speaks before he even realizes it. His voice is raw, like he's just now waking up to the fact that he's been sleeping next to a stranger. Odessa pales. "Excuse me?" I take a slow step forward, locking eyes with my mother. I need her to understand this moment. I need her to feel the weight of it. "If you keep covering for her," I say quietly, "you will lose more than just me, Mom." For the first time, Vivian falters. Odessa sees it, and she panics. Her voice sharpens, desperation creeping in. "You're all turning against me because of her?" Celeste lets out a slow breath, taking a sip of her drink before delivering the final blow. "We're turning against you because we finally see you for what you are." Odessa physically flinches, her breath shuddering, eyes darting from face to face. She has always been in control, until now. A wounded animal is the most dangerous kind, and Odessa has no intention of going down quietly. The air in the private lounge is suffocating, charged with something electric, something sharp. No one moves, no one speaks, as if any sudden motion might detonate the tension coiling in the room. Odessa stands rigid, her breath shallow, her fingers clutching the fabric of her gown so tightly that the seams strain. She's losing control, and she knows it. Vivian's grip on her daughter's arm is firm, her voice low but desperate. "Odessa, stop!" But Odessa doesn't stop. She can't. She won't. Across the room, Dominic hasn't said a word. His silence is heavier than any accusation, a weight pressing down on Odessa's carefully built world. I glance at him, the man who just pledged forever to my sister, and I see the doubt in his eyes. More than doubt, something colder, disgust. A flicker of satisfaction sparks in my chest, but I bury it. This isn't over, not yet. Odessa exhales sharply, then turns to me, eyes narrowed. You think you're so smart, don't you? Her voice is quiet, controlled, but there's a tremor beneath it. I meet her gaze. I don't have to think, Odessa, I know. Her lips curl, but it's not a smile. It's something darker, more brittle. You've always been jealous of me. The accusation is so absurd, so predictable, that I almost laugh. Almost. Instead, I tilt my head. Jealous? Of what? The fact that you have to manipulate and lie just to make people stay in your orbit? I gesture to Dominic, to Celeste, to our own parents. Look around, Odessa. Your world is shrinking. Her jaw clenches. And then I go for the kill. You played your game well, I say, voice measured even. But you forgot one thing. I know who you really are. Odessa flinches. It's subtle, but it's there. Vivian sucks in a sharp breath. She knows I'm not bluffing. I step forward, my voice soft but unwavering. I know about the money, the texts, the things you've said about your own husband. I glance at Dominic. The things you've said about his family. Dominic stiffens. Odessa's face drains of color. And then, for the first time in her life, my mother pleads with me. Vivian turns, eyes wide, hands shaking. Sloane, she whispers. She's still your sister. You don't have to do this. A beat of silence. And for a split second, a fraction of a moment, I hesitate. Not because I feel sorry for Odessa, but because my mother has never looked at me like this before. Like she needs me, like she's afraid. But the hesitation is fleeting. Because I know if the roles were reversed, Odessa wouldn't hesitate. And she proves it when she snaps. You're all turning against me because of her? Odessa's voice cracks, sharp and raw, her hands trembling at her sides. She's always been bitter, always hated me, and now you're going to believe her over your own daughter? Celeste exhales slowly, lifting her glass to her lips before delivering the final blow. We're turning against you because we finally see you for what you are. The words hit like a slap. Odessa's mouth opens, then closes. She looks at Dominic, her last chance at control. Her voice shakes as she reaches for him. You don't believe them, do you? Dominic doesn't answer. That silence? It's her death sentence. Odessa's breathing hitches, her panic tangible now. And then, she lunges forward, her expression twisted with fury. But this time, I'm not backing down. Odessa's hand swings toward me, fast and reckless, but I barely flinch. I don't have to move. I don't have to cower. Because the difference between us is clear now. I'm not afraid anymore. Odessa is the one losing control, and everyone in this room knows it. Her palm cuts through the air, a flash of anger, of desperation. But before it connects, Celeste steps between us. Odessa collides with her instead, stumbling back, gasping. The sheer force of her own reckless movement sends her off balance, right into the entrance of the ballroom. And now there's no hiding. The music halts, conversations die. Every guest in the reception turns toward the spectacle unfolding at the entrance. Odessa. The perfect bride, the golden child, the one who always controlled the narrative, stands there, disheveled, breathless, her rage twisting her features into something unrecognizable. She blinks, realizing too late that this isn't a private fight anymore. It's a public disaster. A murmur spreads through the ballroom. Guests whisper. Eyes widen. Some exchange glances, others stare outright. Dominic is still standing near the bar, silent, watching. Just watching. Odessa spins toward him, frantic. You're my husband! Her voice shakes, high and thin. You have to stand by me! Dominic exhales slowly. The exhaustion on his face is unmistakable. I don't think I ever really knew you. The words land like a final nail in her coffin. Odessa staggers, her breath hitching, shaking her head violently. Number no, you don't mean that. You love me. But Dominic's eyes are empty now. Not angry, not even disappointed. Just done. Then, without another word, he reaches into his jacket pocket and pulls out a small envelope. My breath catches. I already know what it is. Odessa does too. Her face drains of color. What? What is that? Dominic doesn't blink. Annulment papers. A collective gasp rips through the guests. Even I feel the weight of it, the finality, the death of the perfect image she spent years curating. Odessa's hands tremble as she stares at the envelope. You had this prepared? Celeste steps forward, arms crossed, voice cold. Of course he did. Odessa's lips part, but no words come out. And then Celeste delivers the final blow. You were never going to be a part of this family. Odessa staggers back, her world unraveling. But she isn't done yet. Odessa may have lost her marriage, but she still has one weapon left. Revenge. Her chest rises and falls in quick, uneven breaths, her perfectly curled hair slightly out of place, her hands trembling at her sides. But this isn't over. Not for her. She refuses to let it be. She turns sharply to our mother. Mom! She pleads, her voice softer now, laced with just the right amount of vulnerability. You know this isn't true. You know they're trying to ruin me. Vivian hesitates. Of course she does. She has spent a lifetime cleaning up Odessa's messes, smoothing over her mistakes, making excuses. My mother's lips part, her eyes darting between her two daughters, the one she's always protected and the one she's always dismissed. Odessa, she starts, voice uncertain. Odessa seizes the moment. She grips Vivian's hand, pressing it against her chest like some kind of dramatic performance. Mom, you know me. You know I love Dominic. I would never. Stop. The voice is cold. Final. Dominic. He's holding something in his hand, a stack of papers stapled at the top. His face is unreadable, but his grip is tight. Odessa freezes. Celeste steps forward, her expression razor-sharp. Go on, Dominic, she says smoothly. Read it. Dominic's jaw clenches. Then, in a voice eerily calm, he begins. Odessa Hathaway filed an inquiry with a divorce attorney 1 month before the wedding. A sharp, collective gasp rips through the guests still lingering in the ballroom. I feel my stomach drop, not out of shock, but because even I didn't expect it to be this bad. Dominic doesn't stop. You were planning to leave me, he says, each word slow, deliberate, cutting. The second you got access to my money. The paper in his hands trembles slightly, but his voice doesn't waver. Odessa pales. That's not. Celeste lets out a low, unimpressed laugh. Oh, sweetheart, don't even try. She tilts her head. That's a legal document. You know, the kind that doesn't lie. Odessa's confidence shatters. The room is spinning out of her control, slipping through her fingers like sand. Dominic takes a step closer. Was anything ever real, Odessa? His voice is raw, not angry, just exhausted. Did you ever love me? Or was I just another accessory for you to show off? Odessa's lips quiver. Her eyes dart around the room, searching for someone, anyone, to back her up. And then, as if on pure survival instinct, she spins toward me. This is all your fault, she snaps, her voice rising, cracking. You've always been jealous of me. There it is. The same tired accusation. But this time, it doesn't land. Because for the first time, I don't care. I don't rise to the bait. I don't argue. I don't give her what she wants. I simply look at her and say, No, Odessa. This isn't my fault. She flinches. This is who you've always been. Her breath hitches. I step forward. I don't raise my voice. I don't have to. You manipulate. You lie. You take and take and take, and when things go wrong, you blame everyone but yourself. Vivian gasps softly, as if hearing the truth for the first time. Odessa shakes her head violently. No, that's not. Mom, tell her she's wrong. But Vivian doesn't move. She just stares. And for Odessa, that silence is worse than any insult. She stumbles back, realization dawning. She is lost. Odessa looks around the room, seeking someone to take her side. But for the first time in her life, no one does. As the weight of her actions settles in, Odessa realizes there is only one thing left to do: disappear. But first, she fights. Her breath is uneven, her face pale beneath the ballroom lights. She looks around the room, scanning for someone. Anyone. To stand by her side. For the first time in her life, no one does. The guests stare in stunned silence. Some whisper behind raised hands. Some avoid eye contact altogether. Even Vivian, her greatest defender, her most loyal enabler, says nothing. Odessa stumbles back, her manicured nails digging into her palms. Then, slowly, she laughs. It's bitter, hollow. Not the laugh of a woman who's won, but of someone who refuses to believe she's lost. You all think you're better than me? She sneers, her voice unsteady. Just wait, none of you will be anything without me. No one reacts. No one rushes to tell her she's wrong. She grits her teeth, shaking her head, as if trying to will the moment into something else. And then, our eyes meet. I step forward. Not out of pity, not out of cruelty, but because I need her to hear this. For the first time, Odessa looks small. You spent your whole life making sure I felt invisible, I say, my voice steady, unwavering. But look around, Odessa. I watch as her throat bobs, as her breath hitches. You're the one no one sees anymore. She blinks, and for a split second, something in her cracks. Then, just as quickly, she shoves it down. She steps back, shaking her head, laughing again. But there's nothing behind it. No, you don't get to do this, she spits. You don't get to be the hero in this story. I exhale slowly. She still doesn't understand. This isn't a story, Odessa. This is just the truth. Her mouth opens, but nothing comes out. She turns to our mother. Vivian's arms are wrapped around herself, her lips slightly parted, her expression shattered. Tears shine in her eyes. Not for Odessa, not for me. For what she allowed to happen, for what she let Odessa become. She stares at me, really looks at me, for the first time in years. And I know she sees it now, the damage, the choices, the consequences. But it's too late. I won't stay to watch the aftermath. I take a breath, shoulders back, and turn toward the exit. No dramatic speech, no second glance, just a quiet, final decision. I walk out, stepping through the heavy ballroom doors into the crisp night air. The cold fills my lungs, sharp and cleansing. And as I stand there, staring at the city lights stretching out beyond the courtyard, I feel it. A new beginning waits beyond the doors. The past may still linger, but I've finally learned that not all endings need closure. It's been a week since the wedding, a week since I walked out and left them all standing there, staring, speechless, unsure what to do without me playing my role. The fallout came fast. I glance at my phone, scrolling through the missed calls and unread messages. Most of them from my mother. Some apologetic, some defensive. Vivian Hathaway doesn't know how to lose. She doesn't know how to navigate a world where I'm not desperately seeking her approval. Odessa, meanwhile? Silent. No social media posts, no cryptic captions, no carefully curated illusions of perfection. She disappeared from public view the way a fallen queen disappears from history. And the family group chat? Still active, still buzzing with updates, jokes, inside references. Just without me. I should feel hurt. I should feel the sting of exclusion. But I don't. For the first time, I don't need to be part of something that never truly included me to begin with. The call comes later that evening. I let it ring twice before answering. Vivian's voice is hesitant. I know I've made mistakes, she says, as if it's that simple. I say nothing. She exhales shakily. I don't know how to fix this. I close my eyes, leaning back against my couch. There's nothing to fix. Some wounds don't heal, Some shouldn't, but I don't say that. I don't say anything. She waits, like she's hoping I'll hand her a script, tell her how to make this all go away. But I won't. And eventually, she realizes it. I just wanted you to know, she murmurs, before the line goes dead. Later that night, I get another message. Not a voicemail this time, not a plea. An invitation, dinner. A quiet, unspoken truce. For the first time, I consider saying no. Not out of anger, not out of resentment, but because I don't need their validation anymore. I stare at the message, at the weight of it, and I realize something. This isn't about them choosing me anymore. It's about me choosing myself. I walk through my apartment, stopping by the small bookshelf near the window. Old photographs sit there, framed moments of a life I once wanted so badly to belong to. I pick one up, a Christmas photo from years ago. Odessa front and center, radiant as always. Vivian beside her, hand on her shoulder. And me? On the edge of the frame, like an afterthought. I set it down, and I don't pick it up again. Instead, I step toward the window, breathing in the stillness of the night. The city stretches out before me, endless, full of possibilities. And for the first time, I feel it. Freedom. Before we end this story, let me leave you with something important. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Family isn't about blood, it's about respect. About knowing your worth. About refusing to beg for a seat at a table that was never meant for you. For too long, I believed I had to earn love. That if I worked hard enough, stayed quiet enough, sacrificed enough, eventually they'd see me. They'd choose me. But the truth? Sometimes the best thing you can do, the strongest thing you can do, is walk away. Not every story needs closure. Not every wound heals with an apology. And that's okay. Because the real healing, the real power, that comes when you choose yourself. So let me ask you, have you ever had to walk away from something or someone to protect your own peace? Have you ever realized that staying would cost you more than leaving ever could? Drop a 1 in the comments if this story resonated with you. Or tell me, where are you watching from? I love hearing your stories, your experiences. And if you want more stories like this, real, raw, and filled with lessons we all need, hit that subscribe button. Because trust me, there's more to come. Thank you for watching, and remember, choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's survival.